Hello guys, hope you're doing well. In this video I'm gonna go over KS0-ULTRA specifically, but it is the same truth for KS5L and KS5M overclocks, and the firmwares. So if you have tried to use in the past and maybe you didn't install it but you started with initial firmware at one point and maybe you forgot about it on the previous version of overclocks, right? So you can't tell that your firmware it's factory or it's initial or it's original, or it's a revert, because you're gonna see all exactly same number there at the bottom. Now when you try to update, there is two scenarios you're gonna get failed message, and I left two windows open with the failed message. One is for IP125 and one is for IP64 as an example. So we're gonna use this as example, and you see I turned off my iceriver monitor so it's not reading. If I click read, it will read. Everything is fine, it's mining, it's 40 minutes online. I will stop it, and when I try to upload my firmware, I get the message failed. So in previous video I kind of went over it and I said, okay, well, if you fail there, no problem, just click OK, and we're gonna do that. I'm gonna show you here. We're gonna OK it. All right, so we can do this over the web GUI because I turn it off. I even can close. Okay, let me close iceriver monitor. So closed it, there's nothing open, and we're gonna try to update. We will get same message failed, right? So let's give it a second. So I want to be in the real time, so I'm not kind of pausing and skipping the stuff. So I want to show you we are on IP64 and we get the same failed message. Okay, in previous video I said if you get failed message, and I'm trying to upgrade to 505GL just because I don't want to go heavy, just start with the very lowest. So I can go to management tool, go to upgrade, and I already upload 504, 505. No, I didn't. So I'm gonna add a firmware here real quick. We're gonna go the 4. Make sure you're using DF4 or paid version. And I'm gonna do the same thing, 505GL. You notice there is no initial, there is no revert, so it's a brand new firmware. And I'm gonna add it there. Okay, so I have it here, 505GL, right? Exactly same as I was adding there. And we're gonna click upgrade. So now we know the iceriver monitor tool closed completely, and we're trying to upgrade hold on, the miner 64. So we're gonna connect to it just in a second. I only select few miners. Okay, so the only one that selected, see, like you have to select the specific IP64 we're working on, and I'm gonna click upgrade. So select one miner. Are you sure? Upgrade selected miner, yes. And technically if the web GUI didn't work, you may have a chance that your miner management tool will get it work. The other option would be see, and I got the message failed. So this is where you gotta stop and do not do crazy stuff, because a lot of you would be like, oh shoot, I cannot upload anything. It's failed. Start restarting my miner, and I would restart. I already tried that like 5 times. Restart, reboot, upgrade again, nothing happening, right? So if you restart it once and you can't, and it's gonna get the same message fail like I have right now, right? So there is no other options, because you can restart 10 times, it's not gonna help you. You will be at the same stage, you're gonna get failed message. Now, okay, yeah, so the first time it's a good idea to restart maybe once, because if anything connected or any iceriver monitor tool that you hide it or wherever, and it's not letting you install that firmware. Okay, so if you after restart you get the same message like I do. This is where you have to be extra careful doing any restore factory settings, because, and do not try to push and reset factory hard reset on the actual ASIC. So because if you press and hold 30 seconds, you basically doing same restore factory settings. What it potentially gonna do is gonna brick your machine, and then you have to pay in order to remotely unlock it, because you may have tried, like I did, tried to install initial file and it didn't go, and I kind of like decided I'm not gonna upgrade this miner. Maybe that's a similar scenario you have, and if you have done that, you may be on initial firmware, which you don't know if it is, because it's not gonna look any different, and you cannot tell. There is no logo, there is nothing. It looks like your factory firmware. Okay, and you're gonna say, well, I'm just gonna install the factory firmware. Okay, so I do have uploaded a version of the Ultra factory firmware here. Here you go. Right from my iceriver website. Just right, if you go to the, I'll show you where to get it. You go to iceriver, all the way to down to tutorial here, and slide it to, what am I doing? Tutorial, using Wayback Machine. Okay. Download firmware. You click here, find your machine here, KS0-ULTRA in our case, right? So we're gonna download it, and once you unload, it's gonna be a zip file. Make sure you unzip. It even says on the file itself, unzip before upgrade. So unzip in the folder, right? So, and I already have it right here. It's the factory KS0-ULTRA firmware. Here we go, 3.2.15. Okay, so I'm gonna say, oh, I want to go back to factory. Let's, if anything happened, I don't know what it is, and I'm gonna upgrade it, and hoping that I'm gonna take that firmware to the factory original settings. So if that fails again, like I'll do, you kind of like out of the options, you would think, see, here you go, it's failed. So at this point, you out of the options, and you're thinking like, oh, I'm gonna just restore factory settings. So before you do that, think twice. If you ever have used this machine for overclocks, you potentially can't brick your machine. So if you remember, like if you've been using the before DF4, any of the other versions firmware, I recommend what you do is the safest way. You click and select the previous. We had the DF3 folder revert update. So the revert update worked for me so many times. It just put back everything to normal. And I don't know why, but the revert update, see, it's real time. I didn't pause the video, so I'm still on this IP64. I didn't turn any iceriver monitors on and off. I'm just gonna try to get to this revert update option. And what it does, it's actually most of the time takes it. So there are other firmware were failing every single time I tried to use them, but revert update worked for me, and it would say successfully updated. So let's see if this time we can. All right, so we're getting failed message. So I'm gonna try to do revert update from here. Same thing, we're gonna have to try from here. So we go select, we're gonna go to the Ultra 3, and I'm gonna select revert update firmware just right here. So now we add it, and I'm gonna select that revert update. I'm gonna select my, so see the miner been failing before. So I'm gonna restart one more time to make sure it's online. All right, so it's online right here. And I'm gonna do upgrade revert update firmware right there from here. So it didn't work on the web GUI, so just be patient. Try to upgrade from your tool. So it's failed here. All right, so at this point, you know that you need to probably restart, because I've tried so many times. So at the restart, I'm gonna show you guys, restart the machine, okay? So we're just restarting. We're not doing anything. We're not resetting to factory settings. We only can use restart. If you do factory restore settings, it will restart machine anyways, but it potentially will break your machine, so be very careful. Now, where I had the failed message on the other machine, it's simply, hope you notice here 125 because I haven't stopped my iceriver monitor tool for this machine. So if I stop it right here, all right, and I'm click OK, and I'm gonna try it one more time, it will just basically go and get this update done. So iceriver monitor tool, when it's on, you will get that message. So there's two scenario you're gonna get the message. iceriver monitor tool was on, and the problem with the iceriver monitor tool, sometimes you get this failed message once in a while, sometimes you don't get, but you're not upgraded or doing the operation succeed. So in this case, the second case, it will confirm your machine restarting. You're going like typically, normally you would do upgrade your firmware, and it will come up and you will get the logo now. So now, but back to this 64. So this one did not want to take anything, nothing, right? Until, so now we restarting machine one more time. Okay, so we're back online. So the first thing to do, okay, let's try, like, let's say typical upgrade to the newer firmware, like we tried before, 5045, or let's even do the factory. Let's just do ultra firmware. This is factory firmware, and say if it's gonna take it or not right after initial, because we don't know what it is. I mean, it should be a factory firmware, but we cannot do upgrade or of any kind. So that's why we have to be really careful to do restore factory settings here. So now after restart, we know for sure there is nothing connected, like iceriver monitor tool will disconnect for sure. If anything, so we get the failed message again. See, like right there, we kind of like, we sort of bricked, but we're not. So we're still mining, but we can't upgrade. But you have to be extra careful to do restore factory settings, because that's where you can potentially brick it. So you can restart safely, everything works fine. So now at this point, you will have to try that KS0-ULTRA revert, because that's what worked for me. So the revert file needs to be installed and machine needs to be restarted to bring machine back to the factory settings. So right now it's kind of hanging there in between. It's not taking any firmware. I was trying to do the factory and it's not, you know, it taking failed message all the time. So now on the revert update, I'm hoping, maybe I should have tried it before. I was just right after restart, but let's hope this is gonna take, and typically it would. I just did so many times, that's why I had to restart the machine. But do not restore factory. Okay, see, this is the only successful moment here because operation succeeded. So you have to be really patient and get there. So now if you confirm restarting machine, now you basically back to factory. So it will restart machine. It's not the restore factory settings. It's not, do not do your hard reset. I mean the factory reset on the actual machine. Do not press and hold 30 seconds on the machine because you would brick. I've seen so many guys in the chat and Discord channel, Greater Good Mining, keep on sending the messages to me like, hey, I just did factory reset and it's bricked. And I can understand that because you are thinking, okay, I'm kind of out of options. I got the failed message. That's how I basically did it at once. And then with devs, we actually tried that message, tried that method to use revert update prior you do anything else. So after the revert, you want to do it real time, guys, and I'm gonna refresh. Once we're gonna connect this, it will take a moment there. So see, I'm not connecting to any iceriver monitor tools, even though the monitor tool shows like a factory firmware and it shows the clocks 355, so you can't tell the difference here. Even now, like on this window, do you know what's firmware? Well, because we reverted now, we know like we're back to normal factory firmware. And from here, if I can install factory, actually the Ultra now, I can try that. Nothing wrong with that. Like let's say wherever the iceriver gonna come up with the update, Now let's try that. Let's update to the iceriver. Before, it would not take, remember, it would not take that firmware before. It would always say like, oh, failed. Even after restarting, we tried that. So you saw this message on that 164 particular machine. Very different from the one I show you, 125, because the iceriver monitor tool was open. We closed it and and then now we update it. So now we got upgraded to this newer 505 GL, and probably like in a few minutes we may start mining here. It's only been 3 minutes, right? But okay, so see, operations succeed here on this 64. So now we know we are back to the factory because we just did install the actual factory firmware and it took it with no problem. Okay, so if you keep on getting failed message, please do not restore factory settings. Do not click red. Do not rush on it. I hope you're gonna see this video before you break your machine. So do that very careful. And if you have tried using initial file, especially, that's exactly where you're gonna be. If you try to restore factory, you may potentially break your machine. So if it's always failed, you're trying to restart, you're trying everything else before you do factory reset, please try that method. It helped me so many times now. And you go just basically and upload the revert update from I know it's not available, kind of you can't get it, the older version, but if you already tried it, you probably have downloaded zip file. So find it, get this revert update. I would delete everything else. Delete all this initial. Get rid of every other file so you don't accidentally use it. I would just go and, you know, delete. You know. Only leave the revert because you don't want to do any other firmware. Leave the readme message so you know what it is, and the revert update, that's the only file you need to kind of save at this time, because if you have tried, like I said, if you have tried the previous version and you haven't installed even, you may have that failed message because machine is kind of in the stage where it didn't take the, and actually that was happening a lot when you have iceriver monitor tool open, so you didn't follow instruction, and it would looks like it taken firmware, but then second time it would say failed. So every time it would be like, oh, failed, so there is no upgrades going on, and you would kind of maybe give up on that and stuff. But if you click restore factory, you break in your machine. So be very careful, and again, read instruction. Iceriver monitor tool closed, or at least stopped, and then you should have no problem. So now in the real time on this IP64, I'm gonna show you the upgrade firmware. So now I can use management tool. This will work as well, but if WebGUI works, it's fine. I mean, like, you can use either one. So a lot of time, if it's failed in the first time, you can try management tool because that will work for you. But if it doesn't, then your option number 2 is just to do revert update. Do not restore factory. I repeat this like already 30 times probably, but this is so important because it's so frustrating when you break, then you gotta do something, right? Or you cannot mine on your machine. So I hope this video gonna help someone, because I went through that, and not once, probably several times. At once I bricked my KS5L, and then I bricked my KS0-ULTRA, same exact way. On the third time, see, operation succeeds, so there is no problem now. We just installed the new firmware, overclocks to 505 GL. You saw me select it, and I'm gonna confirm. So I'm gonna confirm now on 125. Let's click read. So we are at 450. Okay, so that's the previous machine that was not taken, right? Failed. And we need to go to this IP64. Let's go to that one. Where is it? Oh, I closed it altogether. Okay, so let's open iceriver monitor tool. Bring it back here. copy, and KS0-ULTRA, paste, click read. All right, so now we should be, oh, we're not connected back in. So we just restarted, so it will take, sorry, the video probably gonna get a little longer than I wanted to, because my videos will start to get like almost an hour or 2 hours long. All right, I just don't want to stop and pause in this video and make bunch of cuts, because it seems like, oh, maybe I did something in between that. So there is no pause in this video. I'm doing like a real time. All right, so, and also I want to show you this machine is offline. Do not freak out when you're restarting. You get this message for almost like 10 to 20 seconds wait, and after you refresh, after 20 seconds, you'll get the actual machine web GUI stats. So right now looks like nothing connected. Do not freak out. Do not start to restart in your machine or restore factory setting. Do not do any of that. Wait extra 20 seconds. All right, so we waited. Now we clicking, and now it's gonna start. It's only 13 seconds online. Now everything working great. So KS0-ULTRA take a little extra time to load it, to load everything into the system. So it does kind of delays, you know, to see on the web GUI now. And your iceriver monitor tool will not even connect until you get connected the web GUI. So be patient, do not start to rush. And then again, you're not gonna see clocks until probably like sometimes 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Just be patient. Sometimes takes up to 5 minutes. Some cases I had that in 5 minutes. It would show like now. See, it's only 49 seconds. I already have clocks. I have temperatures. That's fine. It's normal. It could be a minute. It could be 2 minutes. So just be patient. Try not to keep on restarting your machine because you think now there is an issue or whatever. Now, going back to, okay, so from newer overclocks, typically you should not have any more problems, but I would still recommend to keep that revert file. It's kind of lifesaver, because from here you can restore factory, right? So, but if something like this happen and you start to get a failed message all the time, which you shouldn't, but the revert update actually brings machine back to normal in case you tried wrong firmware, or you by accident just didn't delete the file or something else, and you try to use either initial file from previous clocks, right? It happened to me before, like I'm saving, then I had to delete a bunch of folders, but for the video I had to keep it. Now, even I keep for this video, and I could still go accidentally and install. Now I deleted all the clocks, so I don't want to accidentally install initial or the other, but I'm gonna keep revert update. But if you had like an older folder, sometimes you would go to firmware update and it will direct you, especially Chrome will direct you exactly to the same folder you did previous update. So potentially you can go back to this DF3, DF2 version. So do not do this mistake as well, all right? But keep that revert file, I would recommend, because that saved me so many times now. I think it's a great tool before you get your machine bricked, and then you gotta do restore. Do not do restore factory settings, as I said again. Now, when you on the new clocks, like right now, how do we know we are on the new clocks? Because you have KS minor. So now, if you look at the name firmware version, you're gonna just have ICM 1683 68325 215, and it's KS minor. It's not gonna say KS0-ULTRA. That's the previous initial file or the factory file. So that's where the confusion. Like when you have this, you are on the new version of the firmware. And how do you know which ones? Because the clocks. Okay, so you cannot tell from GL or GH. You have to remember which one you use. Unfortunately, you can check your power consumption and figure it out from GL, G, and GH. It's like about 10 watts difference on each of those overclocks. So hopefully Hopefully you do not break your machine, because I've seen so many messages keep on coming even after the new firmware released, the DF4, which not supposed to break your machine, but it's still, guys, you do same mistake. You would just kind of rush and restore factory settings from the older firmware, or even not older, like this firmware, which you cannot tell what it is. You know, to be honest, I cannot tell which one it is. So if there anything happening and like I get the failed message, this is very possible. This is initial firmware, which is not taking the newer firmware, and it's a good point that it doesn't take it, so it takes the fail message. So at least you know you need to revert your machine. So that's it for this video. I'm gonna quickly update you guys for my KS0-ULTRA's mining. All right, you want to open the monitor tools. I have successfully mining with, let me open all of the ones that I'm mining so I can show you guys. So I have, okay, so one, this is mining 721 GL for 3 days 6 hours, no problem. This one mining for 3 days and 6 hours 50 minutes, no problem. Also 721 version. This my number 10, I think, ASIC, performing slightly better, Lucky Silicon, because it's going like 741. Now on my number 8 machine, I'll open and show you guys. So I have 6, 7, where's my 8? All right, right here. So my 8 machine also mining on 721 GL, but it did restart several times. So ambient temperature, so it's kind of hot in Sacramento last several days, over 105. So during the day when it gets the hottest point, even though look at this, 63, 65, so this is the hottest mode, but I'm blowing the full air. All 3 machines going to 5800, almost 57 to 5800 RPM with fruition design, and I also modified, I taped it all the way around so the only air gets inside the miner, and it still restarts this ASIC right here for some reason. So I had to modify my number 7. I'm gonna show you guys where's my number 7, right there. I had to drop it down to 550 clocks because it was actually getting also during the day not enough air through, and it would restart the machine. So this one now running on 640 fine. I think I'm gonna test it out if it's gonna go smooth, but 3 machines taking the clocks, no problem. Number 7, it's not on fruition design, it's on my custom made box, which has also 5800 RPM fan, but there is an issue with the ambient temperature. So see, right now clocks, I mean the boarding temperature 56, everything cool. Soon as I'm gonna go to 640 or 620 even, it will start heated up so high, it's like over 70, and it will restart the machine. Not restart, or the hash rate gonna go down, and potentially will restart the machine. So what I'm trying to say, it's not every setting, every setup you do is going to be perfectly fine with the highest clock. So you have to be patient and take wherever it takes the best clocks that you can use. But pay attention to ambient temperature. If you in the 100 degrees Fahrenheit environment, most likely you will have the issue, even though all 3 machines are in the same garage. But this one, it runs on the cooler air fine, but as soon as it gets over 100, there is an issue. So what I'm trying to say, the ambient temperature in some cases you will not you will not be able if you run in so hot. So maybe on 80, before 80 degree, it's a lot easier to cool down this MOSFETs, but Going over 80, 90, it just gets really, really tricky on the highest firmware. So just be patient. I'm waiting for my new shroud, which is gonna be directional shroud I found on eBay, and I'm gonna test it out on this machine first. Because this running fine, and see if we able to run stable on 640. I may upgrade all of them because I ordered 4 of them, or I'll run on the other. I'll just keep there. I have 2 more machines that I want to overclock. So far I can get them only to where are these machines? Only was able to get to 618, and there's a separate video on the copper block doing for instead of using the heatsink, I did like a full copper block between body and MOSFET, between body of the miner, aluminum body, and the MOSFET, trying to transfer the heat. So we'll go to that one too, so stay tuned if you like that, to see that the results there. But you can tell there's 450. We are starting mining, been 9 minutes. Obviously we're not a full hash there. It will take sometimes another like maybe 10-15 minutes until we to this clocks. Maybe gonna be 480, 490, or 500 gigahash. So on 505 GL firmware if you're lucky. All right, so anyways, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you stay safe and do not break your machine. So the main thing here, just remember what we talk about is the not breaking your machine. So do not rush. Getting failed message. I'm gonna label this failed. Okay, failed upgrade, failed firmware upgrade. Okay, so that's important. 2 cases. One is just simple fix where we just close the iceriver monitor tool. The second one was not that easy, but more important than the first one, because if the first one failed, you can just restart or refresh or go to factory settings and stuff like that. So now let's go to the want to show you on the actual hash rate on my on the pool for the second setup right here. Not sure what I'm buying there. All right, so let's take a look over here, because that's ultras KS0. So there is a 6 of these ultras here, and I want to show you how they perform the 10 and 11. It's been already for 3 days. My average 24 hours 716, 705, so slightly higher than 700. I don't know if that's gonna be the same if I try to use 700 version or 721, actually getting better. So I haven't tested that. I may gonna go back to 700 GL and just compare. If there is no difference on 24 hours, you know what, I'll just keep on 700 GL. But if it's better, you know, it's cooler, it's cool, because the 721 using I believe 10 or 15 watts extra power, so it's not as efficient. All right, and then my number 8, 704 average, see, and sometimes they get here. So right now it's kind of dropping, but sometimes I get 900 on 15 minutes and stuff like that. So my 7 running on 618 GL. My number 6, I just switched to 618 GL, so it doesn't really get there yet. And I'm running 618 GL on number 9, so they're not up all the way yet. It wasn't the full 24 hours, but you could see that the numbers here, so they're all 24 hours hash rate. So I could confirm that I'm getting the full hash rate on the pool. The 15 minutes may fluctuate, but that's not important. What's important is your 24 hours. Even 1 hour can fluctuate a lot. Sometimes I get 850 here, guys, 850 gigahash in 1 hour, but what's important is obviously 24-hour average. Okay, I already said twice that I'm finishing this video, but that's it. This time it's done. We're done for this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.